Hello and welcome to the table, Warhammer and D&D friends. Grab your favorite drink, kick back and relax, and join us for this new narrative-driven Warhammer campaign as we play as one of the newest modded factions created by OVN Lost Factions, Araby. Now, Araby is a not so well-known nation in the Warhammer fantasy universe. Even some die-hard Warhammer fans don't have too much information on this nation just because it wasn't covered too much. However, the developers of this Lost faction have brought them to life and has provided us with 3 different faction leaders for us to choose from. Now, for this specific narrative campaign, I will be playing as Fatandira from the Aswad Scythans, and all 3 of these leaders have their own personal objectives, but in a sense, all 3 of their different objectives are for the betterment of the people of Araby, and, well, some like Jafar, more so for themselves too. But Fatandira is genuinely in the best interest of the Arabian people. Specifically, she also has a relationship with the Tomb Kings, with King God Tutankhamun, and also she has to decide with her different faction effects to side more so with the Tomb Kings, or specifically trying to gain independence, total independence for them, and to have the Arabian people find their own path. Now, specifically, we'll also be having relations with Numas, which is another modded Tomb Kings faction from it's either from OVN or from Mixu, but regardless, if Numas is captured, honor your alliance and return Numas's capital to gain faction-wide bonuses. However, betray Numas and you will receive temporary penalties. Diplomatic relations plus 25 with Numas, diplomatic relations plus 10 with other Tomb King factions, and enabling recruitment of certain Tomb King units. Control plus 3 to all provinces, so seems like she is a fair but very firm leader of her people. Hero recruit rank plus 3 for assassins, so these are essentially assassins, pretty much similar with their playstyle to Fatandira. She is a hybrid unit using both range and also decent melee combatant. Upkeep minus 15% for Nomad Trackers, Giselles, Southland Warriors, Camel Lancers, Desert Riders, Camel Archers, and Camel Giselle units. Now, it was said here too with Araby's faction description, we're not necessarily going to be investing a lot in infantry or even specifically with range, but our strength lies in fast lightning cavalry. Fun fact, Arabian horses are technically on par with elven horses. The High Elves used to have trade relations with the people of Araby. I won't go into too much lore detail with that because I do want to jump into this campaign. But with our starting army, we have a decent front line of spearmen, bowmen for range damage, and also nomad trackers for continued range damage, but also being skirmishers themselves, Giselles as our sniper units, and also desert riders and Wogzen. Wogzen are essentially the hippos, and yes, hippos are used by Araby in warfare too, but these will be more so of our shock cavalry. This will be more so of her lightning skirmisher harasser cavalry. Going to the specific lord effects of Fatandira, she does have an increased ambush success chance of 25%, ammunition plus 20% for her specific army, attribute stock for nomad trackers, Giselles, Southland warriors, camel lancers, desert riders, camel archers, and camel Giselle units for Lord's army. So our playstyle is going to be more so of a guerrilla tactics, fast hit and run, and also trying to use our speed to outmaneuver and also decimate the enemy before they even know what hits them. Taking a look at the map, we do start in the heart of Araby / Tomb King territory too. We'll see later on as we start the campaign that we'll be fighting off some Greenskins. But even more importantly, our true enemy, and yes, I am going to quote Legend of Total War on this. This is one of those trick start campaigns where your initial enemy isn't really your true enemy. The real enemies that we have to contend with are the Lady of the Black Grail, who essentially is our next door neighbor in this region. Not only that, but we will be going up against her, the Silver Host, which is another vampire count legion in this area too. However, they're busy contending with Labaras, aka Queen Khalida of the other Tomb Kings, and we could potentially gain an alliance with her too. We probably should give some of that territory to her. She'll hopefully like us for that, and also we'll get some money in turn. But that's essentially Fatandira's starting campaign. Couple of Greenskins, but I do want to not fuss around with them too much. I want to rush them, take them out, completely take out the Lady of the Black Grail, take out the Silver Host, gain an alliance, hopefully, fingers crossed, with Khalida, and then also with Numas as well too. And yes, I am going to be playing the safe route of honoring our alliance with Numas. I do like the idea of utilizing Tomb King legions in my army just to provide us with unit variety, and also maybe even covering our bases too. Like I mentioned before, our main strength lies in using our fast lightning raid cavalry and also shock cavalry too. Not really so much focusing on our frontline units. We could possibly use Tomb King units as our meat shields and front lines, especially too with the Ushapti monstrous units to back up our front lines as well. But without further ado, let's jump into this campaign. Looking at the settings, we are just going to use this as a showcase, so we're going to add a little bit of challenge with hard campaign difficulty. Battle difficulty, I do want to keep normal. I'm not a big fan of the AI essentially having cheats. We're going to have all the scenarios on for the end game, and also we'll enable diplomacy for scenario factions. Hopefully we can be nice with some of the dwarven nations, and also with the wood elves too. But also we're having another modded endgame scenario, the Chaos Invasion, which is brought back from Warhammer 1 in this campaign. Best of luck to us, and I really want this to be a long campaign for us, where we take over Araby, but also try to find the balance of honoring our alliance with our Tomb King allies. Let's see how this goes, and also for all the Warhammer fans, let me know in the comments your personal favorite faction, if you have any tips or tricks with this campaign yourself, and also what kinds of routes you would like me to go with. I know specifically I said I wanted to honor my alliance with the Tomb Kings and hopefully gain access to some of their units. But if some of you want me to gain personal independence for this faction and betray the Tomb Kings, let me know if you'd love to see that in the comments below, and I'll consider it as well. Anyways, let's jump in and see how we do. Right, friends, I know that was a lengthy introduction, so we're going to head straight into battle with Fatandira's starting army, taking out Morglors, Arachnos orcs here. Let's see how they do in the initial battle. It does say decisive victory, but I do want this to be a cinematic, narrative-driven campaign, so I will fight it manually, also hopefully reducing any losses to our forces here. My main focus is going to be taking out their Goblin Wolf Riders, using both the Wogzen and also Desert Riders to double team them. Squigs may be an issue, as well as the Spider Hatchlings, although I'm hoping that my front lines will take care of them, along with the Orc Boys too. We'll also be using the Jezels and also Nomad Trackers and Bowmen to focus fire on the Orc Boys, so then our front line can take care of the Squig Herg and also Spider Hatchlings too. But let's see how we do. We'll do a quick save there before jumping into the battle. And also I'll use Fatandira and also her hero, which is Hashashin, aka Assassin, which is basically like Fatandira, but not as strong as her. Anyway, let's see how we go. These two, I think I'll double team against this lord here, and we'll try to completely wipe them out to gain the max amount of experience. taking a look at our battle setup, we have somewhat of a chevron formation here. Spearmen flanking our Giselles. Giselles having a massive line of sight down the middle here. Also supported with the Nomad trackers on the left flank, and also bowmen on the right. Fatandira and her assassin. I'll be hiding in the trees here, about to make an ambush when we have the opportunity on Morglor. Desert Riders will be skirmishing and harassing the Wolf Riders, drawing their attention hopefully into the trap of our Wogzen. Wogzen charging into them, and then also our Desert Riders continuing to rain fire upon them. But that's going to be our initial charge. Get a few shots off of them, and also draw their wrath. Very fast units at the moment. Wogzen move into position now. Alright, we've definitely drawn their attention. Charge into them. Alright, a couple of our units are getting caught at the moment right now, so we might lose a handful of them, but we're sending them into full retreat. Wogzen now focus on the spider hatchlings. Araby forces keep harassing the goblin wolf riders. Alright, we're getting caught by their orc boys. Was not expecting to draw their ire either, but we'll take what we can get. Wogzen charge into those spider hatchlings there. Alright, Giselle's opening fire on the squid herd, about to be broken there. Wogzen keep crushing their forces there. Orc boys start harassing them. Wogzen start crushing those spider hatchlings. Forces are completely broken right now. Forgot to hide in Fatandira and her assassin, so we're going to instead launch them into the assault now. Alright, Wolf Riders out to start closing in on our cavalry, but we're going to make a full retreat. Wogzen might be a little bit tired. Yes, they are winded at the moment. Orc boys confident, but also Wolf Riders might just make an attack on them now. Start crushing them. Might be losing some of our horsemen, but replenishment wise we should be good and in the clear. Fatandira and her assassin are victorious. Alright, now let's start running down their army. Orc boys are shattered, but they're still at full health, so we'll take them out. Squig herd also, there's a little bit of health, but I don't know if we'll have the chance to run them down. Wogzen are also a little bit on the wounded side too. Like I said, they're very strong, shock cavalry, decimating those spider hatchlings and also those wolf riders. Let's get a good close look up of those hippos too. I don't believe those things riding them are orcs, but they're some kind of cyclopean creatures, and absolute devastation there too. Hippos in real life are pretty insane, and also arguably more dangerous than crocodiles in the water, and well, definitely on land too. They are surprisingly very fast too, if I may add. Deceivingly fast too. Shattering those orc boys and getting them down to less than half health as well. Yeah, if anything, as long as their lord is dead, and also we take out their orc boy front line, they'll just have a couple of squigs and a couple of spider hatchlings for us to deal with, should they continue to survive too. Alright, and a good strong initial battle. VIPs of the battle are definitely the Desert Riders and Wogzen. They drew a lot of attention from the orcs as well. I think there is only just a couple of units that our Giselles and also our archers had to worry about, and of course the Orc Lord himself, which were focus fired by the Giselles, and also were finished off by Fahim and Fatandira. Alright, we will call that a victory, get some replenishment for our Wogzen and Desert Riders because they definitely earned it after that battle. And that is the full power potential of Araby's starting our army. Well, at least Fatandira's. Taking a look at the post-battle stats, 604 deployed against 361, so yes, a very crushing victory. Wogzen and Desert Riders taking the most kills. Wogzen at a massive 177. These are probably going to be our main killers for this army. Not too much opportunity for our ranged forces to do damage either, but nonetheless, they did their part of lowering the health of Morglor for Fatandira and her assassin to team up against him. In fact, these two I think are going to be my lord killers too. We do need to make sure that we isolate enemy lords from their army as much as possible, hence why I do want to invest more in our cavalry. They're not going to be lightning, they're not going to be as devastating as the Wogzen, and they're not as strong as Bretonnian cavalry, but they're going to essentially do the job of breaking apart enemy forces, a hit and run tactics like I was saying before too, and essentially picking them apart one by one. Alright friends, after that battle, I know I said I wanted army replenishment, but I'm going to go with treasury, get a little bit of extra cash. Army replenishment is only a mere 3%, so we'll take the extra cash and make a march on their city too. Before making an attack on their city, I do want to upgrade Fatandira, get her that route marcher ability, and just increase our campaign movement range so we can make a blitz not just on them, but eventually on Marak itself. They're also at war with Lady of the Black Grail, so we'll defeat them in a pincer movement. Lady of the Black Grail does like us, but we're also in the same territory, and she does technically have an aversion to us, so defeating her should put us in good relations with Libaras, and also allow us to gain a foothold on the region, making attacks on Rasetra and also the other cities up here, which I do plan to take for myself, but eventually selling to Libaras if it means that we can get a buffer zone here for ourselves too. Essentially, we'll take over control of this middle region. Libaras and Khalida can have this entire region, and maybe even south of us too. And hopefully we can secure a strong alliance with her. But we're going to take out Ruglash in an auto-resolve victory. But I do promise to make an attack and manually fight the Battle of Granite Massif. Alright then, taking a look at this battle line here, my main concern, it's actually not the Goblin Wolf Riders, but the archers themselves. I do really want the Wogzen and the Desert Riders to take out the Wolf Riders, so then that way we can use the Desert Riders and maybe even the Wogzen themselves to circle around, outflank the Spearmen Goblins, and decimate their archers too. Maybe we could even draw the archers away from their army while the spearmen walk into the trap of our Giselles and bowmen too. We're going to use a similar strategy here, but I do need to be more careful about micromanaging both my Wogzen and Desert Riders, trying not to take too many casualties here. We'll do a quick save there. And we'll jump into the battle now. Right, friends, I know this is a very weird position for us to take, but bear with me. So, compared to our last one, we don't exactly have the perfect slope for our ranged infantry, but this is as best as we can get. So, I'll be taking this spearman unit and moving it off to the right flank to get more of a chevron formation, taking that same position, just mirroring it, and then moving this unit of spearmen up. Wogzen will have more of a downward slope advantage to charge into any approaching enemy, which will be drawn and baited by our Desert Riders here, taking a vanguard deployment, and we'll probably harass the goblins, seeing if we can draw their archers out and get them to chase us up this hill, and it will be an uphill battle for them. Like I was saying before too, if we can draw the attention of their archers or to separate their army completely, I do also need to keep an eye out for any of their wolf riders, which I also want to bait with our Desert Riders. Get those Desert Riders to bait them and then charge or feign a retreat back to our main army with the Wogzen charging into the wolf riders then. Alright, goblin archers are located there. May need to start retreating. Alright, we are very much caught in there. That was a near trap for us. But the Wogzen, I do want you all to charge in there. Taking a little bit of damage there, and it is a little bit too early. I wish we could have got them more of on a downward slope. Riders, retreat to the left. Wogzen, continue your assault on their forces there. Wogzen may also be a little bit shaken up by running into some spearmen there. Alright, let's actually have both of our riders and also Wogzen focus fire and run down their cavalry, gaining superiority over that. Alright, let's take a look here. Goblin archers. Right, I do want to completely wipe out their cavalry. Alright, their archers are also isolated. That group of archers will need to be taken care of by our fast cavalry. Alright, enemy forces are moving up at the moment. Need to reposition you here. Alright, Wogzen, take care of those Wolf Riders. Wolf Riders are actually, I think, nearly shattered, so we'll have you retreat back. Oh, we are taking a little bit of a casualty there too, with our riders too. Alright. You two units, focus fire on their archer units there. Alright, charge back into that unit. Yeah, like I was saying, Desert Riders not super strong when it comes to melee. A little bit squishy themselves and really should be used for skirmishing tactics. But because this unit of Goblin Archers were isolated. Ooh, nearly... Right then. That's a little bit of mismanagement on my end there, friends. Fatandira and the assassin. Take them out. Isolated unit of goblin spears, but we're going to use our Wogsden and our riders to focus fire on them. Open fire on those goblins. Right, things got a little bit too messy there for a second. This might turn into a close victory. Everyone focus your fire and effort on that group of goblins there. Wogsden and riders, hammer and anvil into this group here. Spearmen, focus your efforts on this goblin group here. Alright, bowmen, refocus your efforts on that group of goblins there. And then the Giselles, I may need to awkwardly reposition you here. We'll need to get into that line of sight just about right on the gunmen. Alright, Wogsden charge back out. Get rid of that returning group of goblin archers there. Alright, downward charge, go, go, go. Alright, left flank secure. Focus fire on the garrison lord there. Forgot to turn off skirmish mode for both of them. Alright, completely shattered that unit. Now let's shatter this unit here. Riders, we'll need to put you back into ranged mode to harass these forces up here. Alright, Giselles, let's have you reposition here so then we can get you firing into the backs of the enemy. Alright, you two archer units focus fire on the enemy garrison lord. Alright, that might actually be a close victory for us. Yeah, that was not well managed, admittedly, by having them almost close the middle gap there. But nonetheless, a victory is a victory, my friends. Alright. Alright, saved as a decisive victory. We'll end the battle there. Post-stats-wise, I'm sure we're going to lose a lot of spearmen. I lost more riders than I would have liked to admit. But, admittedly, let's also take the city, loot and sack, get some replenishment for ourselves, and also we'll recruit probably more camel riders too for that lightning-fast cavalry, and leaning into the strengths of Araby. Surprisingly, the Wogsden did not take any damage whatsoever, even though we came close to mismanaging and the micromanagement there. But also, as we can see, Araby does not have a very strong infantry unit. Thankfully, my mistakes were covered due to the fact that we didn't lose any of our ranged units either. Fatandira only taking a tiny amount of damage, but also at the cost of our spearmen losing half of their number for each of them too. Replenishment should hopefully help with that. In terms of losses for Arachnos, We did a good job of routing their wolf riders and gaining cavalry superiority, and then utilizing our cavalry to try to charge into their goblin archers. Unfortunately, I was overconfident in our riders to do a one-shot charge and get one unit of goblin archers routing, so they had to be backed up by the wogs, and that was definitely something I'll take responsibility for, and in the future, making sure not to leave them prolonged after the charge too. Post-battle stats look loss of 124 compared to the entire garrison of 1,000. Hopefully we'll get some decent replenishment here when we loot and sack. Loot and sack 17%, 281. Loot and occupy though, same amount. And also, of course, not as much gold, but this gives us a staging ground to attack Marak. So we will occupy the settlement, gain a little bit of extra income there too. And should this enemy force decide to attack us, instead of engaging with Lady of the Black Grail, we'll at least have a settlement garrison to use as meat shields. Doesn't matter what happens to them, just as long as our main army doesn't suffer under this potential impending attack. So we'll use all three of these melee forces, and also with the support of the bowmen from the garrison and our own bowmen and Giselles as well. I don't have much in terms of actual potential units to recruit. I am half tempted to recruit bowmen, but my gut feeling is leaning towards camel lancers. Missile infantry are weak against armor too, so I think it's in our best interest to potentially recruit camels here. In the next turn, I do want to make a move against the Lady of the Black Grail if she makes a move on Arag and trespasses into our territory. I'm also going to recruit a second lord here too, in case I need to bait the Lady of the Black Grail into attacking us. Also, we will, I do want to use Lore of the Jinn. Lore of Life would be very useful here too, but for thematic purposes and as a roleplay-esque campaign, I want to see if Lore of the Jinn would be useful for us. I'm assuming that there would be offensive-based spells and, of course, desert, maybe some windstorms too. Bit of reflavoring there. Right, this one gives melee attack and speed plus 10%. Leadership plus 3, attribute immune to psychology, immune to fear and terror. I believe that's only for the Lord himself. I'm very much tempted to go with speed on this one because speed may be the name of the game here when it comes to outmaneuvering the Lady of the Black Grail, and I may also need to utilize as much of our cavalry potential to maybe not beat them one-on-one, but like I mentioned before, to just overwhelm them in numbers or to draw them away from our main force. But we will end the episode there, recruiting some more camel riders, a second lord, and setting ourselves up to attack the vampire counts with the Lady of the Black Grail and eventually move on to Lamia itself. Let me know in the comments below, everyone, if you like that strategy or if you would go a different strategy of recruiting different units. And also for both the new and returning viewers, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this episode all the way through here, especially with making a blitz on Arachnos, taking Granite Massif, and setting ourselves up for potential victory and control over the region. But we will see how that turns out in the second episode. Until then, for those who are interested in more narrative-driven war campaigns, Or also, I do have more Baldurs Gate and D&D build videos on the side that I plan to release over the weekend too. I'd love to have you join us on those adventures, friends, regardless of which ones you are interested in. So remember to hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon notifications, and I'll save you a seat at the table for the next adventure. Take care and farewell.